Bonnie down here with Essential Oils for Moms. And I'm just so excited for this guest speaker and for this live training that we have here tonight. I'm just like super pumped. And even though this is a page for moms, I'm going to ask you guys to do something different, and that's to bring your husbands into this video tonight. So this is going to be Essential Oils for Husbands tonight. I'm just super excited about our guest speaker, my personal friend and author, pastor, leader, coach, now author, husband of one of my really good friends, Tim Farrant. And so he just wrote an awesome book, a book that is needed. And once you guys hear his story, you're just not going to believe that this book was not already here before he wrote it. And, and I'm going to share the book, but Tim is a friend of ours. He's part of our team, and basically he's like one of the best husbands. And when I was reading his book, before I was reading his book, I thought he was completely perfect. And then he opened up a few times that he was maybe not the perfect network marketing, husband. And I really liked that. And I thought that was really relatable. But basically he wanted to help Becky, who is like a leader in the industry. She hit a huge rank of diamond within 4 months, and she like just plowed through all the ranks. And so he was there watching and participating and trying to figure out his role, and wanted to make an impact to help the other husbands on their team. And I'm going to let him tell more about the story and how it came about. But I'm just so excited to have him on here, and he's going to share some tips. But first, his book is called, let's see, make sure it's on the video, She's Selling What? Okay, A Skeptical Husband's Guide to Supporting His Network Marketing Wife. Okay, and so I'm like excited because we have people that are listening here and are on this group that are brand new, all the way to the highest ranks in their business, in multiple companies. A lot of people are watching this and sharing with their teams. And so I invite you again, bring your spouse, bring your significant other, share this with your teams, because someone here tonight, you or maybe someone that you share with, will need the information that he's going to share with you guys. He's doing this free training, and it's all about 5 ways that your husband or your spouse, right, can engage in your network marketing business, right? So make sure they're on. Get your paper out and your notepad and your pen and take notes. He has a lot of awesome things to say, and I'm also going to be taking notes. And again, the book is called She's Selling What? But Tim, I'm going to let you just kind of take it over and fill in the gaps of the story that, to kind of paint the picture of where you're coming from and what made you want to write this.
Yeah, well, thank you, Bonnie, for having me on. My name is Tim, and I am a recovering skeptical husband. Absolutely started out skeptical of network marketing, and I remember the restaurant that I was sitting at on a date night with Becky, my wife, and we're sitting there when she looks at me and she says, "I think I really want to do this business." I look back and I was like, what? No, like, why? Why do you want to do this? Because the U-Haul truck full of skepticism, and stereotypes, the pyramid scheme, even all the way down to like some of the stereotypes around oils and all of those things, into this network marketing business. And so the truth is, I'm a pretty good husband, like I'm a decent guy, but I was not supportive of my wife early on. And so then you fast forward that a little bit, and actually the dream or the burden for this book started on an incentive trip that Becky won, that I was with you, Bonnie, and Scott, and spent time with you guys in Punta Cana, and Becky and I were down there. And literally, I had never been to anything like that before. And every woman that walked up on the stage or that walked up, in like the breakout sessions or things like that, they all tell their story. And it all started with, well, someone invited me to join the business, and my husband, like, was, said, can you just get a real job? Or why are you going to go do that? Or what are these snake oil things anyway? Or like all of those things. And then the funny thing is, in that environment, all these are super successful women.
Mhm.
And so they look over and everybody looks at the husband who's over there and like, like that was me. I was the dork that was an obstacle to my wife. And now these women have pushed through that, and obviously now their husbands are on board. But I remember sitting in the hotel room in Punta Cana, and I said to Becky, if you could figure out a way to get husbands on board, like in the first 90 days, and really be supportive, not only could it help women's success in business be huge, but it could help their marriages thrive.
Yes. Mm.
Because which is where a huge part of this burden comes from for me.
Right.
I mean, we've seen how women who started off strong and their husbands were obstacles, and then they gave up on their dreams, and it really damaged their marriage.
Mm.
So we started to look for some different solutions, and we looked for resources, and the truth is nothing existed.
Right. Right. And I'm shocked too. I'm shocked. I never thought about it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that smart of a person, Bonnie. Like, I didn't crack the code on some giant problem that nobody else saw. And so, really, over several months, it just became more and more of a burden. And Becky started put some stuff into place, her and I, in her business, and we just saw huge success. And so, kind of one thing led to another. And now there's this book that came out last week, and I'm just excited to
That,
help women be successful in their businesses and help their marriages thrive in the process. So that's kind of the story on the book and my passion.
I love that. And I love, well, it's already top seller. It's already been a week. So obviously there's a need. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a huge top seller. And I love, thank you for putting on Audible.
Yeah, you like
Audible already too. It's so good. His voice is like really awesome. So thank you for that. And also I love what you did with the marriage part. Like that's important to me. And I know a lot of women, they don't want to lose their marriage over growing a business. So I love that piece. And a lot of the things in the book too were, even if you didn't have a business, they're just good, things to think about and ways to live by. So I loved that piece of it.
It's good. Yeah, the Audible was really important because a lot of dudes don't read.
Yeah.
So when your husband looks and says, I'm not a reader, I'm not going to read, you can say, but hey, it's on Audible, so you can listen and kind of take that obstacle away. So, yeah.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
ready to jump in, give some of these tips and go for it?
Yeah, I'm excited. Like literally I have my paper here
All right.
and I'm excited. I know we shared this with a lot of teams, so they're going to be excited for this. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing, this is huge. It's so huge. And when we started doing this, it made such a difference. Getting husbands on board right out of the gate is you have to get husbands to learn the compensation plan. So number one, get husbands to learn and understand the compensation plan. Because here's what happens. Until the husband gets there, you can't really talk about the business with them. And most husbands are skeptical and we don't understand the network marketing business model.
Right.
Like we've just all grown up from the time we got our first job at 16. We've traded hours for dollars. That's what we know. And so when our wives come home and say, honey, I got this great new opportunity, and all I have to do is do this, and then I start earning this percentage, and then we move up in rank, and there's this bonus, and if I get 3 other people, and we're just like, what are you talking about? And so it's hard for us to engage when we don't understand the compensation model. But when you can get the husband, even before the wife signs up to join the business, to sit on a phone call with somebody or a Zoom call or whatever it is, or even in person. Becky and I do it a lot where we'll take a husband and wife to dinner before they start the business if they're local and have the conversation. When that can happen, he can start to understand it and he starts to get a vision for it as
So
well.
yeah.
It starts to get him bought in. Now, there's one thing I would say. This is super important. Don't have your sister who's been in the business for a hot second herself explain the compensation plan to your husband, right? Like, just again, As a skeptical husband, I needed to hear it from somebody who was successful. I needed for someone who was proven and successful to be able to look at me and say, I did it, your wife can do it, and here's how.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge one. And a lot of people just skip right past it and don't engage the husband that way. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I love that. I wrote that. Get him bought in.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And you're totally right too, because my husband has his master's in business, and they never once would talk about network marketing. Like you go to school to learn one way to make money, and that's the way. So this is a different way, and they don't know it, typically. So I love that. And most men, I know my husband specifically, they know numbers. So when they see the numbers, it makes sense. I think it's even more important than the oil sometimes for the men. They want the deep blue and the compensation plan. That's all they need to know.
Bill, yeah, good.
I love that. Very good. And I love what you said about taking them out. I know, like we read that in Dave Ramsey too, but that's so huge to take them out. And then they also see another husband doing the business, and it's not just like a woman doing her thing and her hobby, but it would be a mind shift to think, oh, it is a business.
Yep.
Um,
And I would say, even if you're in a spot and your husband isn't there with you yet, or even his personality isn't one that's going to want to go to dinner or do that, I would still say, and we've had women who have been successful when they engage both the husband and wife as well. So don't let that be a limiting factor if your husband isn't there yet and you're watching this. You initiate with the husband. And again, have him get on a call with someone who's successful. So,
or watch this. Yes. Mm-hmm.
yep.
Okay, awesome. I love that. So that was number one.
All right, so number 2, this is another good one. You gotta agree on the pace that your wife's gonna build the business together. So agree on the pace together. A lot of times the wife knows how fast she wants to build or what her goals are and that kind of stuff, and a lot of times her upline knows that, but she never sits and has the conversation with her husband about it.
Yeah.
And so she could be thinking in her mind, I'm just going to take this slow. I just want to make I'm going to get my products for free, or I just want to make a couple $100 a month. And her husband's sitting there going, show me the money. Where's the money? Right. Or on the other side, he may just be thinking, yeah, it's a neat little side hustle she's going to try, and she's sitting there thinking, no, this is going to replace my full-time income and I'm ready to run.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, when that conversation doesn't happen, it's like the breeding ground for frustration and unmet expectations and all of that stuff in the marriage. And so the other thing that I tell husbands a lot, because a lot of husbands come in and they're like, you want to go for it, honey? Like, go for it. You can run, you can make the money, that kind of stuff. But then a lot of husbands turn around and go, but I'm not going to do anything, right? Like, I'm not going to do anything to help. So you just go do it. And I look at husbands, and I would look at any husband who's watching this, and I would say this: the faster the speed that your wife's going to build this business, the more she's going to need from you, right? So the faster the speed, the more she's going to need. And so you can't expect her to run fast and you do nothing.
Yeah.
So that conversation is really vital out of the gate, and it saves a lot of frustration and unmet expectations.
100%. And I'll say, so I had another business before this business, and I wish I was listening to this just when I got started, because even though I was the wife, and it was the husband, it was my business, but I actually never even thought that I would even have that conversation, which is weird. But I told him, I'm going to do this. It's going to be huge. I'm going to do this. But I never actually sat down and said, this is what it's going to take from me, and this is what it's going to take from you. Like that conversation, I don't know why. I was not doing it right. I never thought to even say that. I just figured I'll just do my thing and he'll do his thing. And so I think even for the women listening, even if, before their husbands even read the book or something, that's a good conversation to have, because it was eye-opening. It was eye-opening when I was reading your whole book. I was like, oh, I wish I had all of these things at the beginning. That would have really helped us. So I could see that. And there is a place for him, and he wants to feel included too.
Yeah. And there's a chapter, like you said, there's a chapter in the book that really walks through this, but you don't have to wait to get the book to begin that kind of conversation either. But there really is, there's a chapter in the book that really helps the husband walk through that and for the two of you to have a conversation together about it. So,
Well, and one more thing too about the book, I love that you just gave little homework at the end of each chapter because it really makes you stop and think and, oh, am I doing this right, or what can I do better? I just love that, and we and husbands need things like spelled out easy. They want to hear, what do I have to do next?
yeah, it's good. It's good. All right, number 3. This is a really good one. Uh, Everybody in the network marketing business and all that, everybody's talking about their why. Like, right? Like, what's your why that makes you cry, or whatever the statement is, you got to know your why. You got to know your why. But what I found is a whole lot of women don't actually engage their husbands in their why.
Yep.
They create the why in a silo. And what I would say is you've got to clarify your why, or I call it in the book, your family's win. You've got to clarify that together. It doesn't do any good if only you know it
Right.
and you're after it and your husband doesn't have a clue. And so to not engage him in that, the total miss.
Yeah.
And also another one is if you have kids, engage your kids in it. Right? Like have a family why, a family win together. The women that I talk to, that are building this business, they're not going, what I want to do is make a ton of money so I can leave my husband, right? Like that's not what they're trying to do. They're doing things to help their family.
Yeah.
A lot of even so their husband can have more freedom in his job or to provide for their family or take vacations or do different things. And a lot of times the husband's sitting there and he doesn't even know that
Right.
ever even been shared or talked about. And
Yeah.
so, again, really early on, as you're clarifying as a woman building the business, your why, engage your husband in that as well and have that conversation together.
So that's important. I love that. And I've seen a lot of women, and I know you have too, that had all this potential and they can totally do this and get to the highest ranks, but there was that miscommunication. So they had to, they didn't do it. They didn't continue on. So I think that's huge. Oh, and the kids part too. So I know you get your kids really involved, and I do too, and I love that. And that's actually they're some of my biggest accountabilities because they're like, Mom, did you do this today? Did you do that today? Or we'll write down like, here are 100 names, and they're like, who are your 100 names? So I love that. And then I know you guys your kids have little businesses too, like snow cones and different things, and my kids are also wanting to start their own businesses, and so I think it's awesome to get the kids involved and the whole family. Everyone can play a part.
It's it's such a good thing. And again, the goal is to not just help women build successful businesses, but help marriages and families thrive in the process. And your oil business, whatever company you're with, can really be a gift to your family. And so often the husband coming in looks at it as, oh, this is going to be a hassle or this is going to be a negative. And when you engage your family and your husband in it, you can see the win together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really is a gift. It's a gift.
So huge.
Yeah. Okay. Number four is you got to identify. You're as a husband. Now this one's just for the husbands. We have to identify 2 unique contributions to the wife's business. And a lot of men struggle to do this, and a lot of women struggle to actually engage their husband in this. So, again, there's a whole chapter in the book that walks through how husbands can do this and find their gifts and passions and all of that. But the quick version is basically to sit back and think, what are things that I'm really good at as a husband that my wife isn't as good at? And then for the wife to say very clearly, if you will do this, husband, partner, whoever, if you will do this, this is how it will help my business go forward. A lot of women, it's almost enough for some women in this business to like have a tribe and to have the relationships and we're all growing together and we're a part of this together. But for guys, it's just not true. Like we need clarity on what it is to do, and then to know that what we're doing is making an impact.
Mhm.
So again, you were talking about Scott's good with numbers, and so for him to say, "Hey, let me learn the compensation plan really well, and I'll help you with like strategy and placement and how to, get that particular bonus or, whatever those things are," is a role that some husbands can play. Um,
Right.
I really enjoy training and
Yeah.
development. And so I've done different trainings with Becky's team before, and like mastermind book groups and video trainings and things like that, and that's a contribution I can make. But again, any husbands can do whatever they want, but two unique contributions, not 10 to overwhelm, but also not zero and be completely uninvolved.
I love that. So do you feel like the men that you've talked to, is that easy for them to come up with these, or is it like something that they struggle with?
Yeah, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard for a lot of guys because they sit there and they go, "I don't know anything about oils. What am I supposed to do about an oil business? Or I'm not going to teach a
Right,
class."
they don't want to teach a class. Yeah. I don't even want teaching a class. Yeah.
And so a lot of men end up defaulting to, I'll watch the kids while
Yeah.
you're gone, or I'll do, and that's pretty passive supporting. That's not really an active contribution, to the business. And so again, the chapter in the book kind of walks through this, but for the guy to identify what are just some things that he loves to do. Stop thinking about the business, forget about thinking about how it can contribute. Like, what do you just love to do? Is it numbers? Is it marketing? Is it training? Is it meeting new people? Is it setup and tear down of stuff? Is it, the social media aspect, the marketing side? Like, there's the learning. Like, a lot of guys get into the learning about the oils and the research side of it. Like, there's all kinds of things that he can contribute to. Just give him a place to own, and then again, clearly communicate how his contribution is moving you forward.
I love it. I love it. That's so good.
Okay, last one.
Yep. Ready?
Last one is to expect that this will be hard. You have got, I mean, this is building a real business. And sometimes I think wives, in their attempt to not overwhelm the husband or get the husband on board, they kind of undersell how difficult it's going to be. And some women come in, "Oh, it's not, you're not even going to know I'm building a business." It's not true. And then very quickly, again, especially if you have goals that are really to build a legitimate business, then pretty quickly the husband is going, "I thought this wasn't going to take any time." And now you're out 3 nights a week doing this and that, and you're on phone calls and you're running classes and you're doing like, what's going on here? And then you're stressed out about this, and your roller coaster of emotions as something went really well and a class went well, or then you lose a customer, and you all of those things. It's gonna be hard. And so I encourage wives to look at their husbands right out of the gate and just say, "Can you give me 6 months?
Mm.
Would you just give me 6 months of support? I really want to run after this." And again, the compensation plan. We've talked about the pace, a couple contributions you can make. And here's the goals in those 6 months. Would you just really support me and know that there's going to be some sacrifice I'm going to need from you? And there's going to be some personal growth and mindset issues and insecurities I'm going to have to overcome. But I want to run after this, and I want you to believe in me and support me in this, and give me 6 months. And most husbands aren't bad guys. They're gonna look and they're gonna go, "Okay, I'm gonna do that," and then it's up to the wife to then follow through,
Right.
right?
Work it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so huge. If anyone's listening right now, too, or if they're listening to the recording, I'd love for you guys to comment. One, what have you learned so far? And did you have these conversations with your husband? Or if you had this book sooner, within your first 90 days, how would that change your business? And I think that's huge. I think as every person is starting their business with their kit, should come this book, right?
Mm.
Because it is huge. And I just keep thinking, I can't speak for everybody, just from my own experience, but I was the worst, wife, as far as, the husband and the wife go, because I hid my business for a while because I didn't want him to know. It was all my time. So I would like wake up in the middle of the night and work on my business because I just wanted to show I could do it all, and I didn't have to sacrifice. And then I wore myself out, doing that. So I feel like, okay, if I just would have had a real conversation and set those expectations and know that everything's not going to get done. And like what you talked about in the book, investing the money into like a maid and that kind of thing, it could totally change the business. I feel like everyone needs this book right now, whether they're starting or it's not too late if they're already in the business. You could change it. And I know even people that have been in the business for a long time, that their husbands are not the supportive as they can be, or the wives don't know how to ask for help. So I feel like I learned a lot listening to your book and reading your book. And I'm like, wish I had this sooner. I mean, really, it is really awesome. I loved every part of it.
Mm. I mean, I think it has tons and tons and tons of value to people who are in the business now, no matter how long. Like you said, no matter how long you've been doing it, this almost is a playbook that your husband can even walk through himself. So even if you've been in the business for a long time, it's a great just playbook for him to go through. But I mean, kind of, and again, this is a pipe dream. This is like my big dream. But if, like you said, if everybody, when they first got their kit, got this book, I mean, there is a part and Becky and I have been doing this, as you bring on a new business builder, everybody has their list of books that they want them to read, right? Or podcast, listen to, or whatever. And that's all great. But what if you could look and say, there's one book we want your husband to go through, listen to, or read in the first 90 days, and it's going to get him on board to support you. We know how critical those first 90 days are in a
Right.
and so if that could happen, again, the success rate of not just the businesses, but their marriages in the process and thriving. So anyway, I'll get off my stump speech on that one, but it's
I love it. We're getting comments. Kimberly is loving all of these tips. And, she wrote a whole thing up there, so we can read that later. But thanks, Kimberly. They're simple. Everything's simple. But like what you said, men, sometimes you need it like spelled out, and what steps can they do. And I love how you did a lot of sports analogies, because men can relate to that. And the book doesn't seem like I'm just reading a boring book. It's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And you hit him hard a few times with being blunt, but then you're like, hey, you are a good guy. You don't need to be like that. I really like that.
yeah,
So you said she's loving everything so far. So
good.
perfect. So Tim, okay, so tell everybody listening, where can they find you? Where can they find the book? Like, how do they know more about like where to buy it, and what are the next steps for them?
Yeah, I mean, you can get the book anywhere, anywhere books are sold. So, and like you said, it's on paperback, it's on Audible, it's a ebook. Right now, Amazon has it the cheapest. They have it actually was really weird. It went up in price, and then I don't know if it was because it was Prime Day or something. They dropped it back down again.
Oh, weird. Okay.
The book is only $12.77 right now. I mean, they've dropped the price, so it's really a good deal. Um, and then also Becky and I have done a bunch of trainings ourselves on a bunch of the things in the book as well, on the Network Marketing Husband Facebook page. So if you go there, just Facebook Network Marketing Husband, and Becky and I have done a bunch of trainings there with some different principles and stuff, and we had a great time just doing a bunch of lives on.
You're cute, but power couple.
Uh, well, we really do enjoy doing it together. It's really a fun thing. We both like to teach and that kind of stuff, so it's a fun thing for us to do together. So that's the other way that you can kind of keep up to speed on what's going on, and we're going to keep doing some different trainings and stuff like that out there. So
Yeah, and so I would say if you guys like videos and free training, and if you want your husband to get to know Tim a little bit more, he has his whole bio on his website. But also, like what Tim said, several videos free right on his Facebook that your husband can kind of go through and get to know Tim, because I feel like you can never have enough information, and it's all there free for you. So, and share it with your teams. Like I shared with my team, all good stuff. Every video, there's no fluff. It's all good takeaways.
yeah,
I love that. So thank you, Tim. Thanks
yeah,
for
thank
being here.
you. Thank
I'm pumped. I'm just so excited. And I just really hope that women take this to heart and they buy it and they share it, because that's what the goal is. Your goal is the same as mine, just to help as many people in the industry as possible. And I feel like when you elevate all those around you, everyone just elevates. And I just really, really want the industry to just keep growing in a good, positive way. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. Are you going to the convention and stuff?
Oh,
And
yeah. Oh, yeah. So
yeah.
excited. I cannot wait. I'll have you sign my book.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I'll
I'll
do the
sign.
special signature. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you,
Yeah,
Tim.
the opportunity to share with your audience, Bonnie. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you and Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. Alrighty. Have a good night.
Thanks.